Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Red Dead Online video here on Dare to Game. Today we're going to be talking about the trader role. And now this isn't like a trader role ultimate guide or something like that. It's really just going to be about trying to maximize efficiency in the trader role. So as we all know, the trader role is run by Crips here in camp. And basically all you do throughout the entire time is keep your supplies and materials high enough. He produces goods. And then when you get a full load, you get to deliver them somewhere, usually for a large cash sum. It's definitely something that's, at least as far as the deliveries go, I do them by myself all the time, but it is a little bit easier to have someone else. So if you've got at least one person to go in a posse with you to protect you from other players or maybe other NPCs or, you know, all the variables that can happen in the trader role, then that definitely makes it easier. This is weird. It seems to be a little bit glitched out. I'm not seeing any trade goods in here despite the fact that I'm supposed to have a lot of them. But yeah, so that's just the trader role in a nutshell. Like I said, you can either do supply missions by actually going and getting supplies that Crips needs to make, so it'll usually be a sack or maybe a wagon or sometimes, most annoyingly, a giant tank full of what appears to be oil, and then also keeping the materials high, so you'll have to hunt animals and keep both of those high enough so that he can produce goods, and then once you get all of the finished goods, you go and deliver them and you get a bunch of cash. So it's a great way to make money. And so basically we're going to talk about what animals are going to be the most effective to hunt, what ways are going to be the most effective to hunt, all of that sort of stuff. It's mostly just going to be the animals because I know a lot of people want to know what animals are the best to hunt, where to hunt them, that sort of stuff. So that is what we're going to break down. Alright, so just to start off the discussion with a general rule, for the most part, you're going to be much better off donating carcasses than skins or other materials. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't donate other materials. It's really going to depend on your playstyle and how early you get into the role. So, for example, right away when you get into the role, you have no access to the trader wagon, you're just going to be using your horse. It's perfectly effective to just run around and kill basically every smaller to medium animal you can find, even large ones that just have regular pelts, and just loading up your horse with as many deer pelts, as many feathers, as many claws, as many skunk, fox, coyote pelts, all of that stuff as you can, and just bringing it back and turning it in. That works fine. It's just not as efficient as you can be. So we're going to be going through basically the 9 groups, because some of them are different animals, like there'll be multiple animals in a group, but they're going to have the same values. The 9 best, though, that you should go for. So we'll start at the least efficient of these. Now, mind you, like I said, this isn't the worst in the game. It's just the least efficient of the 9 best. So at number 9, we're going to have grizzly bears and moose. And so now, just for starters, the grizzly bear and moose, that the largest percentage of them that you're going to find are going to be over in the tall trees region of West Elizabeth here. So kind of everything between the Big Valley and Manzanita Post here is going to be where you're going to find the most grizzly bears and moose. So this one is really only going to be the most, or one of the most effective, if you've got your camp set up somewhere over here, because otherwise you're running all the way across the map for pelts. And this one is also one that's really only going to be more effective if you have access to the trader wagon, because moose and grizzly bears have the extra large pelts that you can only carry one on the back of your horse, and you cannot lasso them, so you can't drag one on the ground while you have one on the back of your horse. So you can only carry one at a time unless you're using a trader wagon, in which case I think you can hold 5 or 6 of them. But for pelts, these ones actually have a different value. Just so you know what I'm talking about, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So when you go in here, you've got materials, production, and goods. But your materials is what we're going to be focusing on. So you can see I have it full all the way. Up in the top right corner of the screen, you can see the white bars all the way to the top. So the way that you do that is by donating material. Grizzly bear and moose pelts are going to offer you 4.5 materials for a perfect one, 4.5 for a good one, and 3.0 for a poor hide. So these ones are nice because perfect or good, you get 4.5. So even if it's a 2-star, it's still worth taking for trader goods because 4.5 is not bad. It's better than the vast majority of the animals in the game. Anything smaller than this, anything that doesn't make this list is not going to be that good. So that's why I like to start there with the grizzly bears and the moose, because their pelts are decently valuable. Even the 3.0 is decent. So at number 8, we have the beaver and the wolf. And now both of these are going to be carcasses. Just to show you kind of where to go, if you want to hunt beavers, the Kamasa River here, especially right kind of here, this stretch here, is going to be a great place to find beavers. And then also over here by West Elizabeth, the upper Montana River, basically between these 2 islands and the Owengila Dam and then the top of Lake Owengila here, are going to be the best places to find beavers, just those 2 spots. And then the other one is wolves, and this could be either gray wolves or timber wolves. And basically Amberino is going to be the place where you see wolves most often. Now that's not the only place to find them, because you'll find them all throughout West Elizabeth in the tall trees region. You'll find them over by Hennigan's instead, there's wolves in a lot of parts of the map. But wolf carcasses and beaver carcasses have the same ratings as each other. So for a perfect beaver or wolf carcass, you get 5.25 goods. For a good one, you get 3.15, and for a poor, you get 2.1. So all of these are, again, going to be decent carcasses to bring in. You can either do it with a wagon and hold a whole bunch of them, or... So that's number 8. Let's move on to number 7. So at number 7, we have another two-way tie. This time... both for carcasses again, and this is going to be for small alligators, so the smaller variant of the American alligator, and pronghorns. So this one is going to be one where small alligators, they really only spawn over here in Lemoyne, and the best place to look for them in my experience is over by the coast. So from this shack here up around to kind of down around here is where you're going to find the most of them, and then the second best place is going to be down in these small islands south of Caliga. So those are the two places to look for small alligators, and again, you're going to be getting the carcass for them, not the hide. I mean, you can turn in the hide, but the carcass is what you're going for if you want it to be effective. And then pronghorns are just all over the place. There's quite a few pronghorns that you can find over here by the Heartland Overflow in New Hanover, and then there's going to be tons of them that you find over here in the Great Plains and all across New Austin. So pronghorns are one of the most common animals to spot, and all of the pronghorns are going to have a similar value because there's like 4 or 5 different variants of pronghorns, but they've all got the same material values. And so the values for the pronghorns and small alligators for a perfect carcass is 6.5, for a good carcass it's 3.9, and for a poor carcass it's 2.6. So again, this one you're usually going to be able to carry 2 just with your horse. You just put one on the back and then you can lasso the other one and drag it. You don't have to worry about damaging the carcass when you drag it because it's not going to damage. I've tested it multiple times with every level of animal, and I've never once had the carcass get damaged at all by dragging it, even incredible distances. So that's usually the way that I go, just because it's a bit quicker than using the wagon, in my opinion, because generally speaking, you don't have to go very far from your camp to find these animals if you set it up in the right spot. So like I said, that's number 7, and that's pronghorn carcasses or small alligator carcasses. So next up, we're just going to have the generalized term of bighorns, and so these could be either the Rocky Mountain ones or the desert bighorn sheeps, but these ones are actually going to be just slightly better than the pronghorns. And so, like I said, if you're looking for the desert ones, over here from Rio Bravo all the way up around Tumbleweed is where you're going to most often find the desert bighorn sheep, and up here in Ambarino you'll find the Rocky Mountain ones, kind of between Lake Isabella, Barrow Lagoon, up towards Coulter over here and around here. You'll find them pretty dang frequently. Sometimes you'll find them over here in Ambarino, kind of by Marco Dragic's place up here, kind of stretching along this section. So you'll find them a lot in Ambarino too, and they're actually decent. So these ones, for a perfect carcass, you're going to get 6.75 materials. For a good one, you're going to get 4.05, and for a poor one, you're going to get 2.7. So these ones, like I said, I find them to be pretty effective if you've got your camp set up somewhere where these are common. Like I said, for all of these, the most effective thing to hunt is going to be whatever's closest to your camp, because if you do that, you're going to be filling up your materials a lot better than going across the map for it. So at number 5, we've got white-tailed deer, and so this is going to be the does, the female variants, the deer without antlers, for those of you who are not catching what I'm selling. And white-tailed deer are by far, in my opinion, the most common animal across the entire map. You can find white-tailed deer in every single state and in every single subregion. White-tailed deer are there. No matter where you set up your camp, you're not very far from some white-tailed deer. And they're actually, well, I mean, they took the number 5 spot on this list, so you can see that they're actually decent. So for a white-tailed deer carcass, if it's perfect, you get 7 materials for it. If it's good, you get 4.2, and if it's poor, you get 2.8. And like I said, you can carry 2 of these if you're just using horse, or multiple more if you're using a wagon. To number 4 spot, which is going to be similar, and it's whitetail bucks. So for whitetail bucks, these are the ones that I like to aim for because they're all over the place. They're a lot like whitetail deer. Now, obviously, they're less common than that, but the best place to hunt them is going to be in the heartlands. There's more whitetail bucks in the heartlands than any other place. Now, like I said, they also exist out in the desert. They also exist up in Ambarino. They also exist out in West Elizabeth. They also exist in Lemoyne. They are definitely all over the place, much like the whitetail deer. It's just when you run into whitetail deer, you'll normally find a group of 3 or 4 of them, like in real life, but when it's a buck, it'll only be 1. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to be very far from the next one. I find that Emerald Ranch, this whole area around Emerald Ranch, there's deer all over the place, like bucks, I mean. And so for a whitetail buck carcass, a perfect one is worth 10 materials, a good one is worth 6, and a poor one is worth 4. So you're starting to get up into the really good ones. This is where I definitely recommend people start aiming, is with the whitetail bucks. So then at the number 3 spot, we start getting into the slightly more dangerous ones. So it kind of depends on your playstyle. If you're not super good or super fast, fast, so you don't want to hunt anything dangerous, then whitetail bucks is where I recommend you stop because they're not dangerous at all. They almost never get aggroed. Sometimes they will actually attack you, but it's pretty rare. And when they do, they don't generally kill you. They normally just kind of ram you, knock you over, and then run away. But for these next ones, they actually are decently dangerous and can kill you. So sometimes it's not the most effective to go with them because you just end up dying and don't get any supplies anyway. But the number 3 spot goes to the cougar, which is going to be found, again, the cougar can be found anywhere on the map. The spots that I find it most consistently are, so one of them is up here by tall trees, and then also up here by strawberry, so you can see Gus's thing is right here. Traveling along this road back and forth between about here and about here will get a cougar to spawn and attack you right around here almost every single time. For, again, we're talking about the carcass. A perfect cougar carcass is worth 13.5 materials, a good one is worth 8.1, and a poor one is worth 5.4. So you can see with the, we've now crossed over into the section where for the cougar carcass, a poor cougar carcass is worth more than a perfect grizzly bear pelt or a beaver or wolf carcass. So that's the number 3 spot. Let's move on to the number 2 spot, which goes to the panther or the Florida panther. I've seen them scattered in some of the other areas, but generally speaking, Lemoyne is where you have to be if you're looking for panthers. And so you can either be up here in the Blue Water Marsh, I find them decently frequently, but more often down here by Braithwaite Manor, Bulger Glade kind of region here in the woods. But that's where you can most reliably find panthers. And again, like I said, if you go over here, I find that this little building by Bulger Glade, you go a little bit south of there. If you go here, you'll find them a lot. And if you don't, you can leave a potent predator bait, kind of move off into the distance, and a lot of times one will spawn in and come to it. So that's a great place to go if you're looking for panthers. For these ones with a perfect carcass, it's 14 materials. For a good carcass, it's 8.4 materials. And for a poor carcass, it's 5.6 materials. So again, it's just going to be slightly better than the cougar. But again, like I said, it's dangerous. So a lot of times you're just going to end up getting killed. So then for the number 1 spot, you can see I'm here in Le Gras over by Harriet's tent. And that is because for this one, you actually do need to also have the naturalist role. And the reason you need it is because the best way to fill up trade goods, the most efficient way by far, is by using legendary animal carcasses and or hide. The big thing about using Harriet to fill up your trader goods is you have to stay on good terms with her, which means you can't actually go around killing a bunch of other animals. So if you want to try using her, and like I said, it's by far the most effective way to use your trader role. It's what makes the naturalist role worth getting, because it gives you access to hunting legendary animals, which fill up your trader goods so quickly. So basically, you just got to go to Harriet, you go to missions. Now, obviously, there's also legendary animals that will spawn throughout the world naturally, and you can hunt them, obviously, and bring their pelts in. But the easiest way is to go talk to Harriet. You go take one of these legendary missions. Actually, all 3 of these ones are real good ones. And then instead of sedating the animal, you just kill the animal, and you either bring its carcass or its pelt back to your trader place and turn it in. And these ones are going to be worth between 20 and 50 materials apiece. So it usually takes 1 or 2 of these animals to almost entirely fill up your trade goods, sometimes even more. For this, you have to stay on good terms with Harriet. So if you're going to do legendary animals, only do legendary animals, because you can, even if you kill one of these, you can come right back to her and take another one and go kill it, come right back to her, take another one and go kill it. And it's not killing animals frequently enough to piss her off. So by far, legendary animals are the best way to go. So hopefully this video helped you become a more effective trader and spend less time grinding, hunting rabbits and turkeys and stuff like that. And you can spend more time making money and doing the things that you actually want to do. Unless what you enjoy doing is hunting small game and turning them in which case more power to you. But if you like this video, please leave a like rating to show that it's a good video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, maybe animals that you like to hunt or where you like to set up your camp, whatever, stuff like that, leave that down in the comments section. Lastly, if you haven't already and you enjoy my content, definitely subscribe to the channel, because that way it will help me grow, which, as I think we can all agree, is definitely a goal worth it in itself. And it will also help you see my content every day. And if you like this, you'll probably like that, so it's a win-win scenario. But with all that in mind, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.